As we have seen on our program, when you add up all of the little pieces of California's ag economy, it adds up to big business. In fact, very few of us have not eaten a piece of California fruit or a vegetable grown here in the state. In this week's Bottom Line, our own Neil Melancon is down on California's central coastline to tell us how this state's agriculture affects all of our bottom lines.
The Bottom Line is brought to you by the Cotton Board, strengthening the fiber of our industry, and by First South Farm Credit, financing rural America since 1933.
While California's unparalleled beauty is what brings many tourists here, it's the climate that actually makes California the most productive. In fact, more than 50% of the nation's fruits and vegetables are grown right here in the Golden State.
They say everything is bigger in our next door neighbor Texas, but it's California that has the biggest economy in the whole of the country. That's thanks in part to a diversified economy that includes oil and gas, technology, real estate, finance, and of course, agriculture. Not only does California supply the U.S. with fresh fruits and vegetables, but by itself is the 5th largest exporter of produce in the world. While it only accounts for 2% of the state's overall economy, agriculture generates more than $30 billion in sales each year and contributes $100 billion in overall economic activity. Of course, not all is golden in the Golden State. California has had a faltering economy for several years now and was hit harder than most by the Great Recession. In fact, before then, when the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, Silicon Valley was hit the hardest. In 2007, when the housing bubble began to burst, California was one of the first to feel it. Furthermore, even as the economy begins to recover, there are many issues that still have to be tackled. California has the 6th highest tax burden in the U.S. overall, as well as the highest marginal income tax rate and highest state sales tax in the nation. Coupled with this are income disparities, especially for Latino workers who have had flat growth in income for 2 decades now. As you've heard earlier in our program, this comes at a time when migrant workers are becoming increasingly difficult to find for agriculture. Still, California posted a budget surplus last year, and unemployment is below 10% for the first time since 2008 and is expected to drop further next year as big sectors of their economy recovers. There is also some recognition now that regulations are inhibiting growth in the state, which is not only good news for their farmers, but our consumers here in Louisiana. Our own economic recovery is dependent upon low overhead for staples such as food. The consumer price index for almost all foods is expected to rise well above last year, so a healthy California export business is not only good for them, but good for the rest of us as well.
The bottom line is, while many fruits and vegetables come from California to the Pelican State, it's only a small part of California's giant economic engine, Mike, which accounts for more than 25% of the overall U.S. economy.
An incredible economic impact indeed, Neil. In fact, if the California economy were allowed to stand alone, it would be the 8th largest economy in the world. Neil Melancon, thanks. And remember, you can listen to any of Neil's daily radio reports on the Louisiana Farm Bureau Agri-News Radio Network. For a list of stations where you can tune in or listen online, click on over to our website, twilatv.org, and look for the LF Barn link on our homepage. That does it for this special edition of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture from Santa Barbara County. Before we leave you, we want to give a special thank you to Terry Bontrager, Executive Director of the Santa Barbara County Farm Bureau. Terry organized all of the tours for the Louisiana farmers and was a great help to us in finding some interesting stories to bring you. Next week, we'll bring you an encore presentation of our coverage of the American Farm Bureau's annual meeting held in Nashville, Tennessee. In 2 weeks, we'll bring you our show from the nation's capital, where Louisiana young farmers and ranchers will meet with their lawmakers about pending farm legislation that impacts all of U.S. agriculture. Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at our website, twilatv.org. For all of us here at This Week in Louisiana Agriculture from Santa Barbara County, I'm Michael Dana. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope to see you again right here next week.